Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you are all doing fine. Today we are continuing with our flipped classroom assessments or discussions. So today we will start with Group 7. Group 7 is going to do the two remaining learning units based on unit number 4. Then they will start also learning unit number 5. They will do the first 3 learning outcomes. At the end of this discussion, we are going to have a revision where we will discuss and try to explain further on some of the issues. Group 7, the platform is yours. You may start. Who are the members? I know there is Radebe. I see also the other Lisejo is part of the group, so I will make you a moderator. I will also make is it say yeah, it's the name. Who also is in Group 7, Blessing Chabeli. I'll make you also a presenter. You guys can start. Those in Group 7, please lift up your hands. Raise your hands there so that I can promote you to be presenters. Then you may start. You may present, guys. All the best.
Sorry, Mr. Shamu, I'm just trying to load the presentation on here.
Do you see this, the third icon on your bottom left, on your bottom right corner? There is one where there's an X in purple. There's a gear for settings. Then there is an arrow in a square. Click that arrow. That's the share tab or the share button. If you click that, it takes you where it says upload your file. Then you can upload. Where it says share files, you click share files. Then it will ask you to upload that. That's how you do it. Is that okay? Hello?
Yes, it's loading now.
All right, sure. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon, how are you?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
My name is Amakhelang Maimane, and I'm one of the group members under the Group 7. So I'll just give the opportunity to my colleagues just to introduce themselves.
Noted, thank you.
Hi, I'm Lisejo Khatebe.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lesejo Sibe.
Hi everyone, my name is Sindibu Davana. Yes.
Hi everyone, this is Joy Baloi.
Okay, thank you very much, colleagues. So I am going to start now with our presentation. So with today's presentation, firstly, we are going to discuss about the qualitative research techniques. Firstly, remember we have to understand the rules and the context of the qualitative interviewing, including how the cultural and the cross-country differences influence communication and interpretation during interviews. Secondly, we have to recognize the language related to challenges in qualitative research, such as translations, issues, meaning loss, and differences in experiencing cross cultures. Thirdly, we have to appreciate the impact of technology of qualitative research, particularly on how digital tools are changing the way of depth interviews are conducted and recorded. Lastly, we have to understand on how online platforms and softwares are transforming projective techniques, making data collective more flexible and accessible. And then that is based on chapter 8. And on chapter 10, we are going to discuss about the quantitative research techniques, providing structures and systematic ways on collecting data and analyzing data, particularly through surveys, observations. But now I'm going to hand it over to my colleagues to elaborate more about it.
Thank you. My name is Lesego once again, and I will be expanding further on cross-cultural interviewing challenges. Culture plays a significant role in shaping how people respond during interviews. In qualitative research, responses are not only influenced by the questions asked, but also by the social norms, values, and communication styles of a particular culture. This means that what a respondent says and how they say it can vary greatly depending on their cultural background. For example, in some cultures, particularly those that value harmony and respect, individuals may avoid saying no or giving negative feedback directly. Instead, they may provide vague, neutral, or overly positive responses to avoid offending the interviewer. This can lead to biased or misleading data, as the researcher may interpret these responses as genuine satisfactions or agreement. And then I will have a couple of examples just to expand on this. McDonald's, when it expanded into India, initially the company underestimated the cultural and religious significance of food preferences, particularly the avoidance of beef. Their early research did not fully capture these deeply rooted beliefs, leading to decisions that were not aligned with local expectations. As a result, McDonald's had to adapt its menu to include more culturally appropriate options, such as vegetarian and chicken products. Another example would be Walmart that conducted an interview in Germany. So the employees at that particular store were instructed to smile and greet customers enthusiastically. Now, the German customers found that this behavior very uncomfortable and intrusive, which really impacted that misunderstanding of cultural norms can also impact a negative customer experience. Therefore, this example highlights the importance of cultural understanding in research. Researchers cannot rely solely on direct responses. They must also interpret answers within the cultural context in which they are given. It is essential for researchers to understand local beliefs, values, and behaviors. This may involve adapting interview techniques, using culturally sensitive questioning, and even working with local researchers to ensure that the data that is collected is both accurate and meaningful. Can you please turn to the next slide? Lesego, can you please go back to the slide before this one? Thank you. Expanding further on this unit, I'll be talking about the language and communication problems or barriers. Language is one of the biggest challenges in global research because it directly affects how questions are understood and how responses are interpreted. In qualitative research, even simple words or phrases can carry different meanings across cultures and countries, which can lead to misunderstanding and inaccurate data. For example, a word that seems neutral in one language may have a negative or emotional connotation in another. This means that respondents may answer a question differently than intended, not because of their opinion, but because of how they interpret the wording. A well-known example is HSBC. Pardon me, can you please go to the slide? Yes, I will then tell you when to change. As I was saying, a well-known example is HSBC, whose slogan is "Assume Nothing," which was translated incorrectly in different countries to mean "do nothing." This completely changed the intended message and negatively affected how customers perceive the brand. It highlights how translation errors can distort meaning and lead to poor communication. Similarly to what Coca-Cola experienced, there were challenges when they were trying to enter the Chinese market. Their brand name was initially translated in a way that sounded meaningless or even strange. Then they later adapted it to a name that conveyed a positive and culturally appropriate meaning, showing that understanding cultural context is just as important as direct translation. The example demonstrates that translation is not just about converting words, it is about preserving meaning. To address this, researchers must use a method called back translation, where a translated version is translated back into the original language to check for consistency and accuracy. This helps ensure that the intended meaning of the word or questions remain the same across different languages. Overall, researchers must be extremely careful with language, as poor translation can lead to misinterpretation, invalid data across different languages, and incorrect conclusions. You may turn the page. You may proceed to the next slide, thank you. And also, now focusing on interpreting responses and ensuring accuracy. In qualitative research, it is important to understand that people do not always tell the truth in interviews. This is not necessarily intentional. Rather, responses are often influenced by social pressures and cultural expectations. Participants may provide answers they believe are acceptable, desirable, or expected, instead of expressing their true thoughts or behaviors. For example, individuals might avoid giving negative feedback, or rather exaggerate positive behaviors, or align their responses with what they think the researcher wants to hear. This can lead to biased or inaccurate data, especially in cross-cultural contexts where norms around politeness, respect, and social images are strong. A good example would then be one I chose from Procter & Gamble. In their research, consumers reported certain behaviors, such as how they washed their clothes, but in actuality, an observation revealed that their actual behavior was different. This highlighted a gap between what people say and what they do, showing that interviews alone may not always provide reliable insights. Similarly to Unilever, they found that their initial understanding of hygiene behaviors in some markets was incorrect. While interviews suggested that people valued cleanliness for health reasons, deeper research revealed that the real motivation was social acceptance, and this demonstrated the importance of understanding local meaning and context, rather than taking response at face value. These examples show that relying solely on interview data can be at times misleading. Therefore, researchers should combine different methods such as interviews and observations to improve accuracy and gain a more complete understanding of consumer behavior. Cross-cultural qualitative research requires cultural awareness, accurate language interpretation, and careful analysis to ensure that the insights gathered truly reflect consumer realities. Thank you.
My name is Joy. I'm presenting about digital tools and qualitative research. Focuses on in-depth interviews and projective techniques. In-depth interviews are one-on-one qualitative research conversations between a researcher and participant. The goal is to explore thoughts, feelings, motivation, and experience in detail. For example, a researcher interviews a customer about why they prefer Nike over Adidas. Instead of asking, "Do you like Nike?" they ask, "Tell me about the last time you bought sneakers. How do you feel wearing them?" This uncovers emotions, identity, and deeper reasoning. How digital tools are changing in-depth interviews. Online platforms enable global participation. Digital platforms like Zoom, Microsoft Teams, and WhatsApp allow researchers to interview people from different locations without needing to meet face-to-face. For example, a market researcher in South Africa can interview customers in the UK or Nigeria without traveling. Flexible scheduling and remote access. Participants can join interviews from their homes at convenient times, increasing participation rates. For example, a student researching online shopping habits can schedule evening interviews with working professionals who wouldn't be available during the day. Recording and automatic transcription. Tools like Alto AI, Rev, can record interviews and convert speech into text automatically. For example, instead of manually writing notes, a researcher gets a full transcript within minutes, making analysis faster and more accurate. Richer insights through video and audio. Digital tools like Zoom, Skype, and WhatsApp allow recording of video, voice note, and facial expressions, giving richer insights than writing notes alone. Then we have projective techniques. Projective techniques are methods used to uncover hidden feelings, subconscious thoughts, by asking people to interpret or respond to indirect stimuli. Types of projective techniques. Word association. Participants say the first word that comes to mind. For example, a researcher says McDonald's, and participant says fast or unhealthy. How digital tools are transforming projective techniques. Online tools allow wider reach. Online platforms allow researchers to collect responses from people in different locations at the same time. Tools like SurveyMonkey, Qualtrics make it easy to distribute projective tasks globally. For example, a brand can ask consumers in multiple countries to complete a sentence like, "This brand makes me feel," through an online survey. Participants respond anytime, anywhere. Participants can complete tasks on their own time using phones or laptops. For example, a student researching shopping behavior can send a word association task via WhatsApp, and participants respond whenever they are free. Uses of images, video, and interactive tasks. Digital tools allow the use of images, videos, and even animation instead of just text. For example, a researcher can show an advert and ask participants to interpret what is happening to describe the emotions it creates.